In 2006 I found 2 leys with royal associations going through Fostercourt Lodge, Egham, the house where I was living at the time. This was originally owned by Baron de Worms of Milton Park and lived in by his butler. A plaque with the emblem of Baron de Worms, a coronet and letter W, is on the wall of the house with the date 1887. Before the house was built there was a cattle byre on the site belonging to Fostercourt Farm. The name must come from Great Foster's 16th century mansion across the road, now a hotel, though the house was in the estate of Milton Park. In the garden where the Leys meet there is what appears to be an oval enclosure of some kind, surrounded by trees. 1 ley comes from Windsor Castle, 1 from Buckingham Palace, and a 3rd from Thorpe Church, of which the chancel is a royal peculiar, directly under the Queen rather than the diocese. The house is now in one half of the enclosure. There is nothing marked on earlier maps, but there seems to be a feeling of something older. This is a view from the oval enclosure, looking towards the Ley centre. In 2006 there was the Time Team Big Royal Dig, televised at 3 royal palaces, Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle and Holyrood House. And the one at Windsor revealed the Round Table building of Edward III, built in the 1340s. This king formed an order of knighthood based on the Round Table of King Arthur, which became the Order of the Garter as it exists today. There was a huge round building 200 feet in diameter where 300 knights could sit, and Time Team found the foundations for this under the Queen's ceremonial lawn in the private upper ward of the castle. They found one of the tiles that had covered the floor, depicting a 5-petalled rose and a design surrounding it which could be garters. Surviving accounts show that 40,000 roof tiles were bought for this huge building. When aligning this with the Straight Road multi-junction centre south of Windsor, the line was found once again to go through Fostercourt Lodge. From the Round Table site it runs along the frontage of Frogmore House, where Queen Victoria is buried. It then goes through the multi-junction, then to Fostercourt Lodge. After this it skirts St Han's Hill Hillfort in Chertsey, where Gloria Hazel's UFO was shining beams of light. See the video, The Time Travellers of Rendlesham and the Earth Grid, on the James Goddard Mysteries channel on YouTube. It then goes to St Mary's Church, Byfleet. This 13th century church is particularly powerful, and I used it as my lunchtime laboratory during the 1970s when I was doing the investigation into ley detection which culminated in the sand jar. I worked nearby at British Aircraft Corporation at the time. See the video The Elusive Earth Energy Detector on James Goddard Mysteries channel on YouTube. Another ley through Fostercourt Lodge comes from Buckingham Palace, or rather the Victoria Monument outside it, where I had previously found the ley which runs along the Mall to Fulham Palace and the site of Oatlands Palace, as well as a number of churches including Walton-on-Thames and the Church of St Edward the Martyr at Brookwood Cemetery. Another major ley through this centre is Chris Street's London Axis Ley. This is the ultimate subconscious sighting ley, linking places of worship as diverse as Westminster Catholic Cathedral and the Central Synagogue, Hallam Street. See the video The Buckingham Palace Ley Line for full details of the Mall Ley on James Goddard Mysteries channel on YouTube. The Buckingham Palace Ley that goes to Fostercourt Lodge goes through 9 churches on the West London Ordnance Survey map, including Sunningdale Church Ley Centre, where it meets Alfred Watkins' Silchester Ley, which goes through the parish church of Silchester and a Roman temple in the city site of Caliva Atrebatum there. See the video The Silchester Ley on the James Goddard Mysteries channel on YouTube for more information about this. The Buckingham Palace line comes from Sunningdale Church to pass through the crossroads on the A30 where the Blacknest Road goes off, then Callow Hill and Fostercourt Lodge and the Great Foster's Moat. The moat is known to date at least from Saxon times, but its position on the Egham to Thorpe to Chertsey Roman branch road, plus its rounded corners, suggests that it may have had Roman origins. The moat is also a lay centre, with its lays meeting at a large sundial at its centre. The origins of this are not certain, but there is a legend that says it was given by Sir Francis Drake. The lay is about 16 paces wide. The line then goes through Knowle Green Staines, with a possibly significant name, a stretch of county boundary between Feltham and Twickenham, and a non-towered church by the A34. Then it passes through a spired church at Witton till it reaches the Barn Church at North Sheen. This was originally a barn at Stone Hall, which was pulled down in 1928, each beam carefully numbered, loaded onto lorries and carried to North Sheen, where it was re-erected as a church, at a cost of only £5,000, thought to be the cheapest church for its size ever built. The Ley then goes through a non-towered church at Barnes, two churches and coincident road at Fulham, and another church at Brompton before reaching Buckingham Palace. It then runs through another church the other side of the river. Another lay at the Sunningdale Church Centre runs a little way south of Thorpe Church and then along Mixnam's Lane, Chertsey, where Gloria Hazel reported seeing her UFO shining down beams of light onto St Anne's Hill. The line then goes through Laleham Church, then on through the round plantation in Bushy Park to the site of the Sandy Lane Bronze Age barrow in Teddington. It then goes on to a non-towered church there and continues through a mound in the southern part of Richmond Park. It then skirts Caesar's Camp on its northern straight edge, before reaching St Mary's Church, Wimbledon, the oldest church in the town, on a Saxon site mentioned in Domesday Book. A third lay through Fostercourt Lodge is one I found some time ago. The house is on a line linking two important ancient churches in the area, St Mary's Thorpe and St Peter's Chertsey. The chancel of Thorpe Church is a royal peculiar, a royal chapel that comes directly under the Queen, not the Diocese of Guildford. Thorpe Church is also the site of Roman buildings, the evidence for which was found at the reordering of the church in the 1990s. Major strengthening had to be done as the building was in a bad state and in danger of collapse. When the floor was removed, evidence for three distinct Roman buildings was found. One small one, near the original south wall, could have been a grain store of an early date. The columns of the church were found to be built on Roman brick column bases of a seemingly high-status Roman building of about the time of Claudius, although its presence on what was an island in a marsh is a mystery. Some mosaic tesserae and a Roman tile were found near one of the columns. The third building is a crypt, of which the layout suggests a Mithraeum, with a large half-dome apse projecting underground beyond the east wall of the church, and an immersion basin similar to the one at the London Mithraeum. A Christian portable altar stone was found in it, with 4 consecration crosses, indicating a date before AD 300. Before this, 4 crosses were incised in the altars, representing the 4 horns on the Jewish altar. In later times, 5 crosses were put on, representing the 5 wounds of Christ. On top of it was a Roman cinerary urn. Both of these are now in the church, the stone embedded in the wooden altar, and the urn on display in the chancel. The line is also a good subconscious sighting lay, coming through St Jude's, Englefield Green, a later church, then through Fostercourt Lodge and Thorpe and Chertsey churches, then to the modern Roman Catholic chapel at St George's College, Addlestone. After this it goes through another Catholic church in Weybridge, St Charles Borromeo, which had connections with the French royal family, and then to a church in Whiteley Village.